If you've turned on a computer, looked at any social media, or just glanced at your inbox, you are aware that there are major changes underway regarding how listings are syndicated from your MLS. As of April 7th, 2015, Zillow and Trulia will no longer receive direct feeds of real estate listings from ListHub, a primary source of syndication. I'm Margy Grant, Vice President and General Counsel for Florida Realtors. Let's take 5 minutes to discuss the new normal for how listings are syndicated. Many of you know exactly what I'm talking about. However, some may immediately be asking, what does syndication mean anyway? Syndication is a method for brokers to authorize distribution of their listing data to consumer portals hosted by third parties. Syndication allows a broker's listing to appear on national websites such as Zillow, Trulia, Yahoo, or HotPads, and many others. For years, many MLSs had a dedicated syndication partner, ListHub Syndication. This was the organization that managed the syndication service. ListHub worked with MLSs to obtain a data feed and, per the broker's instructions, distributed listings to real estate websites. Is syndication the same as IDX? No. Internet Data Exchange, also known as IDX, and syndication are two very different programs. IDX, or broker reciprocity, is a program that allows brokers to display listings from other brokerages on their own office and agent websites. Simply put, IDX is the program that manages the listing search utilities on internet displays owned and operated by offices and agents. Although IDX and syndication may seem very similar, the two concepts have one key difference. IDX is a program that was created by the National Association of Realtors. NAR has a strict set of guidelines on participation in the program and how listings are displayed. These guidelines are monitored and enforced by your local MLS. The rules of IDX cannot be modified and do not apply to online listings that are not owned and operated by other MLS members. There are other ways listings are syndicated outside the MLS. Many franchisors will syndicate listings on behalf of their franchisees. Brokerages that are not affiliated with a particular franchise may choose to directly syndicate their listings to certain websites, like Zillow or Trulia. Website providers, virtual tour companies, and online advertising or magazine publishers may also provide syndication services. However, the best and most reliable syndication service is generally the one provided by the MLS. So, who decides whether a broker's listings are syndicated? Plain and simple, the broker. The broker owns the listing and the data. It's important to understand that all advertising, including syndication, is the decision of the broker, and the broker is ultimately responsible for the advertising of all properties in their brokerage. If you are an agent and you're presented with an opportunity to syndicate, remember, you need to get permission from your broker because it all goes back to them. So, now that you know how syndication has worked up until now, it is essential that you understand what's about to change. Effective April 7th, the agreement between ListHub, that syndication service I mentioned, and Zillow, and ListHub and Trulia will end. And listings will no longer be sent to either of those websites from ListHub. Why is this relevant? According to a senior vice president of Zillow Group, in the last month alone, 231,819 Florida listings were displayed on Zillow-owned websites. The total number of times a Florida listing appeared in a search result for a consumer on Zillow-owned websites, 3,381,002,559. Yes, I said 3 billion. The total number of times the details of a Florida listing were viewed by a consumer on Zillow-owned websites, 75,192,000 958. In addition to all of that, over 70,000 free leads were delivered back to the listing broker and agent. And the amazing part, these numbers do not include Trulia, which is now part of the Zillow Group. These huge numbers remind us that the Zillow Group is the leading consumer portal for real estate information. Many brokers feel that if this is where the consumer is, then Zillow is where their listings should be syndicated. So why the change? Look, things change every day, and although it's not easy, we all need to adapt. The Zillow Group is currently in discussions with all MLSs in Florida to identify how listings may or may not continue to be sent to Zillow and Trulia. Many franchises are finalizing agreements as well. Most agreements will result in data continuing to be supplied to the Zillow Group sites. However, each agreement is different. Okay, this is where I need all brokers to pay attention. If you wish for your listings to continue to be syndicated to Zillow and Trulia, you need to check with each MLS you are a member of and determine the process they have in place. Here are some of the options that are going to be offered. Every MLS is different. An MLS may provide data to Zillow and Trulia, but only with an opt-in process. This means you as the broker need to go into the MLS and affirmatively signal that you want your listings on the Zillow Group websites. This will most likely be an automated process. Many of you are very familiar with the ListHub dashboard. It will most likely be similar. A second option is to opt out. This is where an MLS will send a data feed and all broker listings will be visible on the Zillow Group websites unless the broker affirmatively tells the MLS they wish to opt out of this syndication. Now, some MLSs have identified a hybrid, a compromise of sorts. They are providing all listings currently opted in on ListHub to Zillow or Trulia to the Zillow Group directly. Brokers who opted out will remain out unless they affirmatively opt in. This preserves the broker's selection for syndication. The takeaway here is that the broker has to revisit the situation and affirm what they want to do with their listings because it's your decision. Well, what about Realtor.com? The previous information does not impact Realtor.com. Unless you inform the MLS that you do not want your listing sent to Realtor.com, they will continue to send your data and it will be displayed as presented. Realtor.com is owned by a company called Move, who was recently acquired by News Corp. Move and Realtor.com have a proud and strong history with the Realtor Association. It's the website that carries our name and promotes our brand. So although it's not the #1 portal, it is promoted as the website to find the most accurate real estate information. But as we saw from the Zillow Group numbers, the consumer does not know that. We realize this is a lot of information to absorb. Florida Realtors wants to ensure you are informed so you make the best possible decision with regard to all of the options out there. It is every broker's decision where to send your listings. Take the time to explore your options. Florida Realtors has no position on which decision you should make. We realize that you are the expert in marketing yourselves and your listings. Make sure your agents are aware of the changes that are coming and discuss what's best for you and your company.